Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. Hope you're all taking care in these pandemic times, keeping your distance. Anyway, we're going to go through what I purchased to do the rebuild before you go through everything else. Shim stock. There's 26 bucks. The rest of most of the tools to do the work on it I got from True North Arms. Canadian company. Really like them. They're a good company. They do a flat rate shipping, $7, $7.95, whatever. It gets there for cheap. Or you can go all the other prices you want. Different levels of how fast it gets here. So what I purchased was the Wheeler upper receiver lapping tool, their reaction rod 308 and AR-15 at the other end, the dimpling jig for gas block. I also purchased the gas block from them, SLR Rifle Works out of Florida. Instructions on the back. Everything you need right there. So I got about 300 or so into tools to do the job. Reasonably priced tools. Other products I bought from True North Arms. The crush washers for the muzzle device. Barrel nut shims. While we're here with the barrel nut shims, quick talk on them. They come, if you can see the difference between the two, they were the same at one point, but to fit the outside of my barrel and to fit inside the barrel nut, you trim them so they stay spacers and they don't become wedges. You'll get if they're not in there flat, you'll get an absolutely false torque reading. And to accomplish the filing, what I did, softwood, cut a hole in it, little notch in it, and I was able to file the inside and the outside, just holding it and rolling it. Okay, that's pretty important. Otherwise, like I say, you get false torque reading. My bolt components in there, it had a single spring with the two washers. One washer was completely ripped in half. The other one has the center of it sort of not in there anymore. They did not have the washers available, so I got the two spring system, and I'll use two springs and one O-ring. And I think that was about all I really wanted to go through. When I talk about using the Wheeler tool, I mentioned that they say to do it vertical. I waved horizontal but said vertical. And so when I used it, I just dropped it in, greased this portion up so that your receiver doesn't get all hacked up. But when you're doing this, it's in there, the grease is in there, you've got your lapping compound under there. Now your bolt carrier rails in that area in there, your upper receiver, is now perpendicular. Everything is on the jive, so when you put in your shim, it should sit right back down on top flat, and it did. You'll see further on in the video. That was the only thing. Like I say, I did it all by hand. I did this by hand. 15 turns, 15 full turns was more than enough to do what I needed. And if you attacked it with a drill bit, or the drill and a drill, you'll be wearing it down quick. And I talk about headspace. You can't really mess up your headspace. It's the relationship between the front of your bolt and a line halfway through the radius on your case. But the relationship is between when it's in your gun and it's done, the back of your barrel extension and the back of this engage, and that's your how your headspace is set. So you can't really affect it by taking a couple of thou off the top here. And if you took a 1/4 inch off, you might if you took a 1/4 inch off this, you might have some horrific effect, but you would never do that. So your headspace is not an issue. And I'll just leave it at that and wish everyone well. And it's already long enough as it is. So take care, keep your space. Torquing, that was one other thing I guess I should mention. This wrench here, I had to remove the nubs because I bought it from True North Arms, but my barrel nut only has 4 holes in it, and this one came with 6, so I had to take off the 4 extras, and it worked absolutely fine with just the 2. So like I said, satisfied with everything I got from True North Arms. They're a great company, Canadian company, everything's made there, so as much as they can make on site, they do. It's a great place. Give it a try. So when it comes to lapping the receiver, the Wheeler guide has it once you put it vertically and then use a 1/2 inch drive drill to punch your flat. But as it turns out, you probably only need maybe 10 or 15 full turns to get this flat. So you use the compound, you do your turns, she comes out pretty nice. Then the next problem I had once I got that all nice and flat is how wobbly the barrel is. Fortunately, it's about 3 thou. So, okay, the next thing we gotta do here is see this dimple I put in. It coincides with the gas port. And how I did that again was with another True North Arms product. And it's called the gas port dimpler. 3/4 inch. How that works. Set screw in here. And so you can see that hole right through. Set screw. Has a point on it. And that point, I'm threaded in through this hole. Centers itself in the gas port hole. That little nub, so that centers itself in that hole. And then this guy. Okay, so I've got the screw in. It's in the gas port side. And you take your drill bit. You give her a little push through that side. And that's that. Your gas block is dimpled. Pretty straightforward and easily accomplished without too much mechanical ability. But you have to be careful not to push that all the way through, because you don't need 2 gas ports. Especially not one that big. Okay, now you have it drilled. You're going to end up having a little mushrooming around that. So you're going to... That's that. I'm going to apply some gun glue to that. Okay, now that the lapping's been done, we'll work on installing the barrel. What I've done is put super thin layer Loctite silver underneath the shim. It's a 1 thou shim I got in there, 0.025 millimeter. And you can see I've got a gap where the alignment pin is. And I've got a slight bit, I don't think you can see how little I have in there, but it's a slight coat in there. It's just enough to keep this carbon steel and that aluminum separate, and put a little corrosion protection on that. But you can see how, I should show you how sloppy that is beforehand. So there's like almost 4 thou play in that. So as you see here, got that tape back up again. Hoping you can see I can do this without. There you go. That's just the boom. Barrel is bedded. I don't have it Loctited. Everything's corrosion protected. I think that came out alright. Okay, there's the end of the action rod. He slides in, and you're in there. You torque your little brains out and nothing bad is going to happen. But we're going to put this a little sideways angle here if I can get it to roll in. There we go. Okay, the only problem I had with the, like I said, with the rod was I had to deburr it. That's not bad at all. So I got it, I set it at 30 foot-pounds. I have to time this for the handguard with these screws because it's free float, but the nut is a fixed nut. And so I got it to 30 foot-pounds and it's just shy. So I moved up my torque wrench to 35, and I should be able to give that enough. And the punch to get that drill bit is the max size that'll fit in that hole. And when you're torquing, make sure you're at 90, because all the ratings, I could give you the math, but it doesn't matter. The book says to do it at a 90, do it at a 90. Work out for you better in the long run. That hopefully is enough to get my oh yeah, I don't think we're going to get it much closer than that. A little bit of flashlight action on there for my old ass eyes. Oh yeah. That's pretty darn tootin' close. I think I'm going to be satisfied with that. Okay, so I've already dimpled the gas block. Smoothed it down a bit so you don't have a crater, so your gas block fits again. I blued it up a bit. And this guy should just roll right in there. Oh yeah. Now underneath, I'll flip it over. Set screws. And I'm not worried about where this is positioned now, back and forth, because I have the dimple right there that aligns it. So it's like, oh. Okay, and as you see, slop around, jiggle that screw in, and there you go. This side, you'll see, it should noticeably sit a little bit prouder than this one. Torque setting on those. Should I blue Loctite them? Should I over torque them? If you want, you can, but you're going to have to drill those out of there at some point if you get too carried away between the Loctite and over tightening. I think they call for something like 20 inch-pounds, but I'm going to give them 15 inch-pounds, and then that'll be that. I'm gonna get my tool ready. Okay, here she is, my wheeler tool. Line at 15. Should be more than enough for that. I might go up just a little bit, 16 or 17. But, oh, that's too close to 20, I think. Yeah, that feels a little more. Okay, as you see, I got it set between 15 and 20. That should be enough. Okay, next will be the compensator. It's actually a really nice one. It came with the gun, the package I bought. The VG 7.62 Gamma. New crush washer. Again, not sure how much difference that makes, but it doesn't seem to make sense to put that in because you have two bevels, or countersink in a bevel. Here this isn't, it'll crush actually like you want it to, and this will crush on this portion. This is relatively see, I got about half a turn before this sits where it has to be. Okay, so I got a giant ass monkey adjustable on there, and I'm just going to turn it slowly, evenly. Get that to the top. Have a quick look down the end. Gonna have to move your camera. I don't know, you couldn't hear no clunks. Slow height difference there, but nothing I can do about that. Maybe a foul. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out now. Properly putting the proper nut spacer so that I could time this correctly, because these screws, there's 8 of them. These screws are aligned to the hole for the gas tube. So it has to be tuned, and as you saw on my barrel nut, there's only 4 slots. So your quarter turn every time you have, if you've got to go past or you're too close. So it came out pretty good. Being able to properly torque it, get everything in place. All my problems came back to these were not properly installed or fitted. They were not fitted to the gun and the barrel nut. So I ended up with that crowning condition, and the torque was, like I said, I undid this with bare hands. Not even in a vise. Clinched it in between my knees and turned it off by hand. That's how loose that barrel nut was. Now, it should be good. I have the shim stock in there, everything in there, so my MOA should go from, 5 inches back to 1 inch MOA where it should be. I'm going to continue rebuilding it. We'll go through a little bit more. There's some other adjustments that can be done, such as to take out the rattle between the upper and the lower, but you have to have lots of other things undone. Okay, we got the top end together, upper receiver together. Now here I've got the grip off. Wanted to show you something. that green tip you see is neoprene, I guess? Not neoprene, plastic of some sort. And it's on a set screw, it's the tip of it. And what it pushes up against is the bottom of your upper receiver. Charging handle will go there. Forward assist. Where your rear takedown pin goes in. And that green nub pushes up against the bottom of this takedown lug retainer. And that will in turn, okay, so you can hear the movement there. This I'm just turning down nice and light and easy. Till it touches the bottom of that. And not even a 1/16 of a turn. And by that point, you won't be able to push that out very easily. But when you apply pressure, push down, and you have the handle in, and you're pushing down, that pin will push right out. But if you try to do it without putting pressure between these two pieces, you're going to fight it the whole way. And that will back out real easy. So I would suggest just a dab of blue Loctite maybe. But it's something that if you get that lodged in there, you're going to have a heck of a time getting it out again. But if you can do the little bit, because there's the detent for the safety here. Yeah, you can see it there. There's a hole. A spring and a plug goes down there, and that's the detent that keeps your safety from rolling around. So it's not that hard to adjust, but it's not something that's going to wear. It will vibrate loose, because my gun was tight when I first got it. After a bunch of rounds it wore itself loose. So I'm just going to put a dab of blue Loctite on there, and a slight dab. Like I say, I don't know if you can see how little Loctite I got on there. It's blue Loctite, service removable. Here's the package. So I'll slip that in the hole and see if it stays. Okay, so I got it adjusted. Screwed it up, I put my Loctite in. I've done it off and on 3 times now just to make sure. But that barely will push out at all until I apply some pressure. And then she'll come out. And same with going back in. It wants to hit that edge, but apply a little downward pressure and you're in. But by doing that, you've adjusted that set screw up high enough that it's putting a little down pressure on that bottom lug, and you're losing that rattle between that end. But you end up having where you have a little rattle on your front lateral. So I think there's shims you can buy to put in there too. I might look into that. And we'll continue on with I'll start putting the bolt carrier group back together. And then we'll get this out and do some range time with it. Show you the big difference in my MOA with what I've done with the shimming the barrel, properly fitting the barrel nut spacers, and adjusting the timing on my foregrip, because it's the type that you have to have it lined up. There's no just tighten it up and then screw it in with the ones that have the floating screws in the barrel nut. This is fixed